I love this as you finish shaking hands. You guys are so good. Let's just share out a few of the conversations that were had to the large group. Just some thinking that was sparked. Patty, right? Mm-hmm. As she came in, she said, "Oh my gosh, that's my life. I'm just surviving." And yeah.
Feels like survival.
It does. It does. So what are some other conversations?
One of the things that we were talking a lot about Jerry's she folded back into grade, but one of the things that we practiced is going slow to go fast, in that daily 5 and the cafe piece.
Yes.
And we are just, because we started now our benchmarking system this year, so we were all trained on it, so that took us a tad bit longer, I think, using that and us assessing our kiddos and then moving in. And we are like in just pretty much our second solid week of a good readers workshop format. So the kids are still getting used to their independent pieces, and they're doing well. Most are doing well.
Wow.
And it's trying to now, because we've kind of taken the role on of MESA as our readers workshop, those kickoff lessons. I think the most difficulty we're having, this is our second grade piece, is that we have our MESA kickoff and we're supposed to be following all of those pieces, but then we rotate into like that 4 blocks of literacy learning or that daily 5 piece, and then but trying to look at how do you do your mid-workshop teaching point and how do you do your wrap-up when they're, the original readers workshop piece in that 4 blocks of, Cunningham was a 2-hour block of time.
Wow.
We don't have a 2-hour block of uninterrupted time. So now we're stretching an hour and 20 minutes into how do we get it all in. So those are the stumbling blocks. We love it. MESA we're getting used to, but it's the time factor. I think most of us are running into those. How do you do what they want you to do?
Yeah. But
at the same time, make it quality for your students. Make sure you're reaching everybody, but hitting all those pieces, because some of the pieces we're finding we're doing in guided reading, that most of the collaborative pieces, and we don't always have time for that mid-workshop teaching point, because you can't really stop to, and bring them back to the carpet and stop the groups, and then that follow-up at the very end. Sometimes the follow-up at the very end comes the next day during the so those are just some stumbling blocks.
Well, but you're carrying all those critical pieces with you, and so you're looking at what's working right now for you based on the time. And I guess I'm thinking even the sharing piece at the end, starting a lesson with it, it brings the thinking back to where they were. So you're using some of those critical pieces in a way that works for you with your time.
Yeah. You want that. That's what they have to say.
Yeah. Well, and conferring. When you're talking the guided reading, it's the conferring. It's the.
And it's hearing what I was telling Sherry, the piece that I love the most is listening, give each other compliments and noticing. Scenes like when they hear another friend using a strategy, and they'll give them a thumbs up and say, "I love the way you back up and reread," and "Oh, you did a really nice job of summarizing you and using those straight," and them hearing it.
Wow. Wow.
Proud of right now.
Yeah.
They know what I'm saying.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just curious, with when they do the partner read with the Daily 5, do you notice them using those strategies that are used in guided reading with their partners?
The partner reading is very minimum right now. We are doing more because of our high class sizes, which I know that's not new to anybody, but I'm doing more of that 4 blocks of literacy, so during that guided reading piece, they have their book bags, and I'll have 2 kiddos reading, and others will be reading independently. And so they're sharing, they're getting that. And that's pretty much how we're getting to that piece of collaborative reading.
Yeah, nice. Nice. Okay, another thread that was talked about.
Does anybody in workshop have a AR scan in there too? Okay, so your head's nodding, like that's another whole.
That's their independent read to sell, right?
Yes, your independent read, then a conference about how you treat the book. It just seems like there's so many facets
And
in
word sort.
workshop.
That's
Right.
really work.
Yeah. Besides mini lesson, the whole group, everything you're saying, the closure. But I just whispered to her, I haven't conferred in why. Because other things are ahead of it.
But do you confer during your guided reading? Are you conferring with them when you're?
Tell me what guided reading is in your world.
That's when you pull a small group of kiddos back to read with them at their level. Okay.
No,
And
I'm
that's
treating them whole group
right now.
right
Yeah.
now.
And when you get to that piece of pulling them back, that's when I do most of my conferring. It's very rare that I get to do it other than that. Unless there's a really big issue that I don't want to talk
They're
about.
sharing a piece of reading, or they're all reading their own AR?
They're all reading our guided reading book. It's a
So you have
different
another
piece.
element of a guidance, you don't have that piece.
Well, and that's what we were talking
then I
about,
have to-
switching to older kids. Do they each have their own book? And we're looking at resources, trying to find resources for them for a guided reading piece. That's been a huge concern of mine this year, is trying to put that together for the guided reading piece.
And are you seeing guided reading 3-5 then? Is that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your mentor text? What's your teacher read aloud?
But that's a double dip. Your read aloud and your mentor text, you have to double dip. I mean, I don't say you have to, but that's a time saver. So whenever you do your read aloud, that's when you introduce your new strategy or whatever you're doing, because how do you get time?
Well, and I think Lucy, the guru, suggests that, your read aloud serves multiple purposes, whether it's reading, whether it's writing.
I think she goes so far as to say that you would be doing a read aloud around what you anticipate to be the mini lesson even
Yes.
in advance.
Yes.
So you actually are more just referencing back to a read aloud for that mental reflection.
I think we all get to a point where we gotta make a professional decision about what has the most value for the students in
Yes.
that classroom.
Yes.
I mean, is it word work? Am I gonna get the biggest bang for my buck? I mean, I have to put my energies into the most efficient, effective way to help the most students as quickly as I can. And, I mean, I just look at, I'm a strong believer in Spanamon. And how are they gonna sit for a 40, 60, 80-minute test if they can't read a book at their level for 10 minutes? And so you have to pick. You just can't keep all the plates spinning.
Yeah.
At least I can't.
Yeah. And you have to pick what is going to really support them in their reading lives.
Then I wonder
Yeah.
what Donna Lee would say. I mean, where's just the simple love of reading? Where do you sit down and watch Mrs. Sanborn cry when they drag Stella off in a garbage truck?
Yeah.
Kids will never forget that moment.
Yeah.
Because I read that to them, and
Yeah.
I didn't connect it to a damn thing. Sorry. But I'll tell you right now, most of them wrote about it in their memory book. So, I mean, what's Donna Lee going to say about all that? Forget. I mean, we got to pick. Are we going to drive ourselves all insane?
There you go. There you go.
So we're in this room, right? From 1 until 7:30 tonight.
Yeah.
Well, and when you were talking about how the kids were really talking to each other about what they were noticing them doing and picking those pieces that are most valuable and that are going to impact them lifelong, that's where purposeful talk and that sort of thing really comes in with teaching the kids how to talk to each other. Because just today during writing workshop, they were partnering up to kind of look at some of the reflecting on their writing that they were doing to make sure they were actively thinking of and making choices in their writing, and so they had some specific things they were looking for, and then they were supposed to help each other share their piece of writing and help each other with their metacognition. And as they're discussing things, I had a couple girls who were totally arguing. They were disagreeing about what kind of lead one of them had, And it was this really in-depth, and they were totally giving evidence for why they thought, one thought it was an onomatopoeia lead, and the other one thought it was a dialogue lead, and it was because she started with ha 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 ha. And so then they got this huge debate, and then they were asking other kids, and it just, and that was while I was working with somebody else the whole time, that this was really meaningful thinking, but they were doing it on their own without me, and that's what I want for them. Lifelong is to be able to do it independently. So I feel like I have to instruct them on how to grow their thinking together without me having to do it all the time.
That's your next lesson in Mesa Right, by the way. working collab, because I taught catching leads today, and tomorrow's the partner work. So there you go.
But it truly is, Peter Johnston exemplified, is you are one of 30 teachers in your room. And when you have that mindset, there's a lot of power. But you do have to scaffold them. Yeah. Thanks, and welcome. Yeah. Gonna have you go back to your places.